So who am I speaking with?
My name is Krikorian. I run app services at Twitter.
And you just gave a great presentation about security, specifically with Twitter, and about the different authorization systems that you had, the former Basic Auth and the next OAuth. Just very briefly explain what was wrong with Basic Auth and why you were going to OAuth or wanted developers to go that way.
Basic Auth allows for users to give their passwords over to different applications, and we were concerned that passwords are sort of proliferating around the internet. We have no control, or the user has no visibility in understanding what's happening to their password. So we want to secure that for our users specifically, and with the theory that if we do that for them, they'll be happier and more likely to use applications on Twitter.
So the big issue you had, though, was, okay, how do we get all the people who were on Basic Auth to move to OAuth? And as you mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, doing security later is a real pain in the butt, as you are now learning in this situation. So you came up with some techniques to try to get them over, some incentivizing, others saying sort of demanding. Explain what they were and kind of walk through success and failure of them.
I mean, we went through a couple of different steps in the process. First off, we introduced OAuth, which we thought was better than Basic Auth, and we led that one with a carrot. We sort of gave developers the ability to have attribution on tweets, so they can see that this tweet came from app X or Foursquare, or this tweet came from Twitterific, for example. And that helps developers get publicity because developers want fame for their applications in some way. So that was sort of the carrot that we first led with, would help slowly move people off Basic Auth. Eventually, though, we wanted to actually shut off Basic Auth. And for that, we just had to explain to developers that this is a fundamentally better thing for our users and for them. If we do this, we can better understand what's going on in the ecosystem. We can help them when they're having issues. Before, in the Basic Auth world, we had no way to understand exactly who's calling what, who's failing in what way. But when they're all using OAuth, we can fully understand that this particular app is having this issue, and we can proactively reach out to developers and help them get their app right so their users aren't frustrated by it.
Explain the concussion tests. I like that. I thought it was kind of an intriguing thing, and how the concussion tests were scary at the beginning, but like over time they essentially improved and people understood what was going on.
So Basic Auth and OAuth are fundamentally different ways to authenticate. So what we wanted to do was to help developers understand that their code actually converted to OAuth properly. In some cases, developers are working with code bases that are years old, and they may not have touched all the parts in a long time, so they may not remember how to turn off Basic Auth fully. So what we introduced are these notions of concussion tests, so that for like 5 minutes a day, once a week, we would just turn off Basic Auth, and and developers would just viscerally understand what it was like to be running in an OAuth-only world. In the beginning, when we did that, we would notice jumps in the system. We would notice that developers hadn't fully caught all their issues yet. But as time went on, we noticed the system basically didn't notice that we're doing it anymore. The ecosystem wasn't noticing it anymore, which meant they fully converted all their code over and everything was working great in the end.
Excellent. Hey, Rafi, thank you so much for your time.
Sure, my pleasure.